Welcome to Office Hours. I am Steve Drost. With me, as always, Will Kaplan. Of course, Will and I are both from the Quivr CRM team. Now, what is Quivr? We are the CRM built by financial advisors for financial advisors, and our objective is simple. How can we help you run your business at peak efficiency? And each episode, we tackle a couple of cool items that came directly from our users who are trying to do just that, make their lives a little bit easier. Will, in office hours, you got a question from a user, been on the system for a bit, I don't know, maybe a year or so, and they were talking about tax planning and what may be the most efficient way to handle tax planning within Quivr, which before we even get into the solution, these are my absolute favorite types of questions. When a user comes to us and they have something they need to tackle and they just don't know what to do. They don't know where to start. It's kind of like, when you look at the Cheesecake Factory menu and there's 7,000 things that you can order and you get, paralysis by analysis. You just don't know what to do. So I love these questions and I can't wait to hear how you handled it. So tax planning in Quivr, what wisdom did you put on them?
Where we started was, and I think this is one of the things that you and I often ask as the follow-up question is like, okay, what are you trying to do? Explain this to me. What was going on here was they were trying to sort of create a systematic process where they take each user through a particular thing. And so, one of the first things that comes to mind is like, oh, well, that kind of sounds like a workflow where we want to make sure that we're sort of checking the right boxes and that everybody's getting the same flavor, or at least the same, relative experience within the firm. But she was like, that's great, but it doesn't exactly cover what I'm running into here because like I need to store some data along with it. And then that's when for me the light bulb went off where what you're asking me about is projects. And this always I always find this kind of amusing because a lot of times we will get questions from users. And to your point about like, what are your favorite questions and things like that? For me, it's always like this interesting thing of like, "Well, this thing exists in Quivr. You just haven't found it yet, right? Like it's just been tucked away and you haven't come across it and that's fine." And so in this case, we started talking about projects. And sure enough, there is a tax planning project ready to go inside of Quivr. Now, does that mean that like it's perfect and everything exactly no, like you might need to customize a little bit for what your firm does. That's one of the beautiful things about projects is the, mortgage review project looks nothing like the tax planning project, which looks completely different from the estate planning project, which looks totally different from a custom project that you might want to add that your firm does that nobody else in the world does. You're unique. And that's one of the cool things about these is projects are meant to be customizable. The onboarding module is a great example. It's not a project, but it's very similar to a project in that we give you kind of a framework and hope that you build in around it.
Yeah, in projects, there's a few key things that you mentioned here that tell me to push somebody to a project. The first one, and this is where I actually think about it right away, is this a linear black and white A, B, C, D process? If it is, that's a workflow. Opening an account, we do the same 6 things every single time. It's a workflow. However, helping a client get an estate plan, I can have this beautiful workflow for helping somebody get an estate plan. But I can tell you right now, it's never going to go the same way twice. Do I need an attorney? Do I not need an attorney? Are they going to do it right away? Are they not? Do they have kids? Do they need to trust? All of these different things. So as soon as we look at an item as, is it perfectly linear? If the answer is no, project. Which tax planning, very rarely is tax planning linear, especially at the onset of a new relationship. Because what are these people? Are they Roth converters? Are they, people where AMT matters? Are they in the ACA and we're trying to keep their income below a certain level, right? That's not linear. That's actually very almost like shooting from the hip with like a touch because you're just all over the place, right? You have no idea what you're going to do. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing that you mentioned that I think is very important for projects is there a unique or a set of data that matters? So for example, let's go back and look at the estate plan example. There's a lot of data that matters. The draft documents, the attorney involved, the day I referred them to the attorney, the duration that this has been open, when we're moving forward, who are the key people, all of these things that we need. Imagine if I had that in a workflow. Well, by the time I get to the reminder, 6 months after the fact to see if the documents are done, I don't even remember what attorney they're talking to. So your estate plan project can have all of that. Here's the attorney, here's the law firm, here's that person's contact information. Here's the day we sent the initial introduction. This is what the email looked like. That can get attached. Here are the 3 meetings that we had. You can associate meetings with projects about that. And now I just have basically a filing cabinet or a manila envelope inside of a filing cabinet that tells me everything I need to know about that specific thing.
And one of the things that you sort of, you're roughly alluding to here is, in my mind, where these really unlock and become so powerful is when you combine these two things together. I've got a project that holds data, and then I've got workflows that tell me what to do with that data at a specific point in time. And whether that workflow is just like a, one or two, three stepper, and it's really simple, like take this data and move it over here, or, interact with the client or send out the referral or whatever it might be, I can assign it to different people because of how workflows work. Like maybe the CSA handles one thing and then it goes to the primary advisor and then it comes back to the CSA before it goes to the secondary advisor, like whatever. But everybody's working off the same data set. It's that wrapper, that envelope, like you're talking about, that kind of glues it all together. And then everybody knows, like, oh, this is a particular type of project. I need to go find that project record, and it should have all the data that I need nicely organized in one spot to allow me to then move forward.
Yeah, and if we keep going back to the estate planning example, my estate plan workflow is so simple. Is meet with client to determine route. Do we need one or not? And then it's a conditional logic. I get to go left or right. Are we going to do something like trust and will, vanilla, wealth.com, something where we can get the documents online, or are we going to go to an attorney? So if we go to the attorney, I send the introduction and I check in with that attorney directly. I check in with that attorney, right? I have that one task. And I just, until those documents are signed, I just send an email every couple of weeks. Then eventually I get the documents, I close that one, and then we implement it, update beneficiaries, you name it. So what's that? 4 steps? If
Mhm.
we do the trust and will vanilla, website route, it's basically the same thing, except maybe we meet with them and do it online, and then we wait for them to get it signed. But right, it's the exact same thing. So on my homepage, when it's time for me to check in with that client to see if they've gotten a document signed or if they've met with the client, I just get a simple task that says check in with, Jim about their estate plan. Right there, I can click on the project. It's right next to the task. I go to the project. Oh yeah, yep. I introduced them to the attorney, 3 weeks ago. I'm just doing a normal check in. Perfect. Pull up email, send the email, move the task 2 weeks forward or 3 weeks forward, and now I'm not even thinking about it again. Whereas if I didn't have that project, I'd have to go to my email. Who did I refer these guys to again? Or I'd have to go to the previous task and try to figure it all out. Where that project is just everything I would ever want.
Yeah, and it can really work in a lot of interesting ways. I mean, you can sort of use the project as a checklist of, do I have all the data I need? You can include status fields on the project to get a sense of like, okay, here's the stages and the steps. I think the one that we've probably used that the most efficiently on is the tax prep project. So if your firm does tax prep, we have a great tool waiting for you to pick it up and start using it. But these projects really are where I think they work the best is when you've got like all of your data and then you've got a workflow that tells you what to do with that data. It's the combination of those two things that really is like, this is just clicking. Like everything is, I've got what I need to move forward. It's all right here. If there's fields that are blank, I need to get them filled in. Like, definitely look into these a little bit, start tinkering around with these, figuring out what fields you want. They do like a lot of things in our system to get it perfect for your process. You need to probably add a couple of custom fields and rearrange them a little bit and make them your own. Awesome.
Super
Like
easy. Super easy.
move in, yeah, get comfortable with these things. But, yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of the show How I Met Your Mother, and they have this running joke in there that future Ted, future Barney, right? We're doing things for future us. When they're staying up a little later than they should have, future Ted's going to be mad at them. Or when they're doing things, that are advantageous to their future, right? Future Ted's going to be happy with them. And this is the exact same thing. My project is to help future Steve. It's to help me in 3 months when this client isn't processing their estate plan as I wished they were doing it. And that data set with that workflow are going to help future Steve handle that client or guide that client through it super efficiently, even though it's not going exactly how I wish it got to go, if that makes sense. But no, yeah, it's all about helping future you. And that's really what Quivr's for, right? Create everything to help future you so that you just get rid of some of that anxiety. But that's a wrap. Good stuff as always. If you're a Quivr user, remember, join us on Wednesdays for office hours. We can help you with similar items, including, hey, I have this big project or this big thing in my mind, but I just don't know how to even tackle it. In 10 minutes, we got that user set down the right path. And I'm sure they're in a much better spot than if they would have just tried to figure it out on their own. And if you're not a Quiver user, that's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody is perfect. But remember, it's not too late. Schedule a demo. Come hang out with me. Come hang out with Will and see what Quiver can do for you.